Hey, if you only watch the anime, don't worry, there aren't going to be heavy spoilers in this video. We're only using about maybe less than 6 pages that haven't been animated yet. The biggest spoilers in those 6 pages are pretty much just going to be character designs, but otherwise all the content together probably wouldn't even make 5 minutes. Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and hey, right now, let's go. Let's talk about some My Hero Academia. This time specifically, we are doing a continuation of the manga arc review with the Angry Guy and Bird Bro. This is a look at one of the elements that was introduced in the arc, a small bit of analysis, and then speculation on what I think it means and where I think things might be going from here. I'm putting this one under manga arc review because it just feels natural. On the note of the manga arc review, there were a lot of great comments in the previous video, pretty much capturing what we're going to be talking about now. Just the stuff that was introduced here and just the general potential of the All for One Breakout. Just a quick overview of things. What I'm thinking is there is some weird stuff going on in the background with Destro, and I think it's pretty certain that if the actual breakout does occur, All for One is going to be using a certain someone's quirk to maximize the damage potential that he's going to be inflicting on society if he pulls off the breakout. So without further ado, let's get into the bigger bits. Let's actually start talking about it. So I'm going to have to explain to you guys my whole thought process. Ultimately, I want to kind of let you guys know how I'm seeing things and then having you guys kind of build off from it based on the stuff that I kind of present. To do that, I got to show you some of the pieces that we got to play with. So from the Angry Guy and Bird Bro arc, we've got 2 pages from chapter 184, 1 page from chapter 186, and from the previous arc with the Gentle Guy, we got roughly 1 page from chapter 171. Then we'll have just general information coming from the rest of the series that is in no way a spoiler to the anime only viewer, so that'll be safe. So anyway, here's what I found suspect. In chapter 186, we get dropped a bit of information about Destro, and this wasn't the first time. The first time we found out about Destro was in chapter 171 during the Gentle arc. What's suspicious is that this happened twice. In chapter 171, we were being given an informative monologue, and it felt natural then to just have it thrown in there, because you could ask, well, is it just a world building detail? Cool, that's pretty cool. But in chapter 186, something having to do with Destro ends up being a background event that's just thrown in there, and the question you gotta ask at this point is why? In 2 instances, we have this little detail about this past villain being brought up. When I see this, my conclusion is just flat out, I think Destro or someone related to him is going to be showing up in the story at some point. Because why else would you have these details establishing that? And if not in the story, then maybe some of the spin-off material, because we know it's a giant world for the Hero Academia universe. But this is a video for All for One, so how does this relate to the guy? Well, Destro was the leader of the Special Abilities Liberation Army. That title implies that Destro was active at a time when powered people needed to be liberated, i.e. a time when they weren't the majority, which points to the time frame where All for One was gaining his power. The point is, there's a good chance that All for One and Destro were contemporaries and allies. So here we have a villain who may potentially be from a time linked with All for One's origins resurfacing in the narrative. And that's where we kind of have to stop with the Destro angle. We have to jump over to All for One now to get the full story of what I'm thinking. This arc might have given us a big confirmation of All for One's plans. Chapter 184 reintroduced the Pussycats into the story. Now, while this does serve as just nice continuity, it reminded the readers, or even maybe pointed out to readers, that Ragdoll doesn't have her quirk, and that is important. That is an important fact to maybe remember in our heads. And then in the same chapter, we have All for One scene that confirmed that Ragdoll's missing quirk was important to the narrative, where he ends up saying, a quirk must be used whenever possible and sooner rather than later. That's just flat confirmation to me. The guy has plans. He's planning on using the search quirk if he's not already using it. Now, we were told that Tartarus is monitoring All for One's brainwaves, but honestly, I feel like All for One could come up with a way to trick them. I mean, this is a guy that survived decapitation, alright? The guy can do it. If there's anyone in the world that can do it, it's probably him. Either way, All for One is either using the quirk now or waiting for the opportunity to use the quirk, and we can guarantee that he has intent to use the quirk. And the moment that he uses the quirk, I think that's where we can potentially have an avenue to bring back Destro. Right now, the craziest idea I have is that when All for One gets his opportunity, he is going to use the quirk, he's going to find his allies that have been locked in Tartarus, and he's going to break out with them in tow. And remember, the only stipulation to Ragdoll's quirk is that she has to have seen the person she's monitoring before, which All For One might have already done with Destro. Now mind you, we don't know how strict the quirk would actually be with that criteria. We don't know if it'd have to be a case where he has to see him when he has the quirk or when he doesn't. Another thing we'd have to answer is, how is Destro still around? And well, it could just be some age-related quirk. Like really, if the author needs to make it work, he can come up with a bunch of ways to make it work. Heck, Destro might have even been given a quirk by All For One as a way to like gain that guy's loyalty. We just don't know. Anything could happen. That doesn't really constitute a strong wrinkle in the idea. Anyway, the conclusion for this part is just that All For One's going to break out, and he's going to use Ragdoll's quirk to great effect and maybe bring out a few other people. Maybe that will include Destro. Who knows? Now, the safest variation I have of this idea with Destro is just Destro or some relative is just going to show up in the story without it being in Tartarus. But you know, that's kind of boring, and we don't really have enough information to draw that scenario. But the thing about this one is just it's hard to justify Destro being in Tartarus at a present time just because there's a lot going against that. And as of, let's say, between chapters 194 and 196, because of the events that have occurred in those chapters, there is one more avenue for Destro to come out through, but we'll just hold that until the current arc is over, keep that, and then, you know, keep it safe from the anime-only viewers that might be watching this part. Anyway, end of the video, conclusion. Ultimately, what am I saying? Well, Destro is being introduced into the story. I think it's a bit suspicious. I think we should be looking out for that. Destro might have a connection to All For One, and that connection may yield returns if Destro ends up being in the prison that All For One is in. But even if Destro is not involved in Tartarus, we can say with a good amount of certainty that All For One is planning something, and Ragdoll's quirk may be a fundamental component of what goes down. But really, we'll just have to wait and see. Stepping away from everything that presented here, how confident do I feel about this? On one hand, like, I feel like it makes sense that All For One is planning this jailbreak. I do have just a little bit of doubt though, because I don't fully understand All For One's motives, and that might throw me off with just my general predictions here. But I would love to hear what you guys say, so let me know down below, and let's call it there. Till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.